Reaching critical mass. Warning. Warn.
I got that already. Dang it, Omega-Sword, it's been a week.
Yep, about time to get out of here pretty soon, I think.
Hey, more blood first. He does have a point. I do have some time to waste while I wait to get my hands on the both of you.
Yeah, good luck, asshole.
So yes, finally time to get this series done. Also, why does my face keep changing lately? Same with the voice. The both of you really need to get the hell out of me. Starting to look like a brain guy.
I shall take the summary yet again, if you don't mind. We start off this movie with Ash in chains as he's being carted off to some medieval castle while trapped in the Middle Ages. He recaps the events of the previous film, and that includes the remake parts as well a little bit. And they use a mixture of both Evil Dead 2 footage as well as new Army of Darkness footage to quickly tell in summary the story as of thus far. And he takes us through explaining the book, where he comes from, what he was doing, and then what happened to him as he went through the portal. And then the footage from Evil Dead 2 ends as soon as he and the classic Oldsmobile land. It then goes into new footage where a bunch of knights start blaming him for being a demon or someone as bad as King Henry, who seems to be a enemy leader who is now under their capture. From there, we are shown Ash in chains yet again as he continues his trip to and inside of the castle. Once inside, he is attacked by Lisa, the new love interest of this particular film. She blames Ash for the death of her brother at King Henry's men, and then lets him go off again. Apparently the current plan is that Ash is going to toss into the pit Deadites. But of course, before we toss our hero in there, we have to show what happens to normal humans when they get tossed in there. Despite this giant gusher of blood, Ash is then kicked in and does battle with the Deadites. He manages to actually get out alive with a little bit of help from the chainsaw, which the old man finally tossed back to Ash. He escapes the pit, and pretty much nobody really wants to fuck with him because he's about the only one who seems to be able to fight at the Deadites' level of power. To this, he makes a few demands out of the people that he's forced to live with at the moment. Essentially, he wants to be able to find a way to go back home. To which the best the old man can come up with is that they need to find the Necronomicon again and send him back through passages in the book. While this is happening, there's a fairly silly romance going on between Ash and Lisa, to which it ends with the classic line,
"Give me some sugar, baby."
really ought to try that on somebody someday, but I kinda doubt I will. Ash is finally then sent off to find the Necronomicon and also given some magic words he must recite. Once he gets there, he tries to say the words, but he doesn't exactly get every syllable right.
Klaatu, Marata,
Yeah, and he was warned to memorize these words. So now, with him running off of the book, the army of the dead is awakened, and now they're going to be hunting down the book, no matter where it may rest. After Ash has gotten back to the castle, and they figure out the kind of cowardly fool they're dealing with yet again, he is kind of moping off by himself when Lisa is attacked by a winged deadite and carried off. Ash tries to save her a couple of times, but fails to grab the monster before it can fly off with her. Now with a newly refueled interest in trying to stop what is happening, he finally has switched sides about running away and now wishes to help these medieval warriors to defend their castle, their home, and possibly get Lisa back. And I guess about there is where I'm going to end it for this recap, as the rest you must see for yourself.
I'm going to talk about visuals first this time, if you don't mind. Due to the severe change from just a straight-up horror comedy to a more action-based horror comedy, there's actually a heck of a lot less blood in this one. And by less blood, I mean less completely long, gory shots of things happening. However, when they do get to blood, it still comes up in a geyser. Also, the fact that might be pushing this into R rating is that the enemy army is all undead. And I still managed to skew around being a zombie movie, mostly by the fact that it's either demon-possessed people or skeletons. But it also still states that the villain army is definitely undead. So it just barely skirts around zombies by a narrow margin. But also due to the fact that it's not just plain simple zombies, the effects for making this army come to life are varied and interesting in every way. You have both stop-motion monsters, animatronic up front in the camera monsters, and slightly in the background as well as the foreground, stunt actresses and dancers doing some of these undead creations. They did it with females due to the fact that while applying undead makeup to females, their body is kind of built in the way that it looks like there's chunks missing in the torso. So they could easily adapt it to be a male makeup and make it look very skinny and undead-like, and have it be somewhat realistic. So while there is far less gore in this film, they equal it out with far more varied and interesting effects that they could now afford to actually do. Henceforth, extending the visual range of what the movie was capable of. Also giving a far more wider audience of monsters for Ash to do battle with and change up tactics depending upon what he has to fight. And yes, once again, Sam Raimi does excellent shaky cam and the odd eccentric German expressionist footage in this film. And that's one of the few things I really do enjoy about Sam Raimi's work. He has the cliches of, like, shaky cam. However, the thing about him with shaky cam is that he makes sure what you're looking at is focused on long enough to let you know what's actually going on. Sure, it's a bit shaky and very quick, but the shakiness adds to the feeling of quickness, and hence improves what feels like it should be a much faster film. Mostly due to the fact that they already have this very well scripted out and just can quickly turn the camera to focus on something different. Or in some cases, sit there shaking on one target, which is the main target for this particular scene. Whereas people in modern Hollywood go completely schizophrenic and then start waving it all about like a madman with no real point to it. Ergo, Sam Raimi is still a master of shake cam. And no one else that I'm aware of has been able to do it justice. But that's generally my view on the visuals for this film. Good job so far, and I hope to see more.
So yes, it's finally time for my turn on both the story and the characters. The main overarching story of this particular movie is actually, yet again, a little more advanced than the previous chapter of this trilogy. Again, showing that Sam Raimi likes to add a little more depth to his stories as he gets better at it, while also continuing to push characters a little bit further. In this particular installment, he now has a main character who is knocked out of both time and space, and then back into the Middle Ages in Britain. To which, everyone he looks at, he feels like he's the superior race compared to a bunch of dumb apes, and continuing to try and find a way back home with what few resources he still has at his possession. He has far more resources than he did back at that cabin, but he's still extremely limited in ways that he does not like or care for, but will make do with what all he can find and hopefully get things working again. Once more, Ash is posted up to be the main character, being set up to finally do what he was said to be needing to do since the midway point of the previous film, which is that he's become the stranger that fell from the sky and saved the world from the evil of the Deadites. And he is supposed to do all this, again, despite many numerous character flaws that he has, but none of which are so big and horrible that we actually really hate his guts. Sure, he can be a pig, sure, he can be a self-centered asshole who's looking out for number one, but when the chips are down and things are going awry, he feels that he must stand up and finally become the hero that he is meant to be, even if he doesn't want to admit it himself. On the other hand, while Ash is getting far more fleshed out in this film, the other characters around him are kind of set to the back burner and more or less forgotten about our two-dimensional characters. Not that this is a bad thing, as it gives more time and room for Ash to grow. However, it feels like he's surrounded by a bunch of carbon copy cutouts. The worst of which is poor little Lisa, who is forced to be the new romantic interest to a man who literally in the last 48 hours has gotten interested and fallen in love with 2 other women and tragically lost them to monstrous undead creatures murdering the fuck out of them. But while one would argue that, yes, most of the other characters surrounding Ash are pretty bland, we do have one interesting standout amongst all the other characters, and that would be the main villain who heads the Army of Darkness. In the series of scenes that were for whatever reason partially removed from the theatrical cut, while Ash is trying to look for the Necronomicon, he encounters his horse yet again that ran away from him, and was about to head back inside when he saw a silhouette of a man going into the building that he was hiding in, a windmill in particular. He goes chasing off after the silhouette and bashes himself right into a mirror. Thinking nothing of it, he just tosses it aside, and actually the reflections of him in the mirror become little mini Ashes that group up and attack him. One of these, getting inside of him, becomes a second separate entity, who forces his way out of Ash until he is a normal-sized version of Ash. Upon questioning, this version of Ash says that he's bad Ash, and the other Ash is good Ash, and that he's a goody little two-shoes. Good, bad, our hero Ash is the man with the gun. He shoots Evil Ash in the face, and goes about hooking Evil Ash down and chainsawing him like he pussied out on doing to his girlfriend twice throughout the series. To which Evil Ash does still threaten that he'll come back, and sure enough, when Ash botches trying to get the Necronomicon, Evil Ash is brought back to life as part of the Army of Darkness, and heads up as the main general. This is possibly one of the reasons why one of the flying Deadites captured Lisa and ran off with her. Other than this, there's not much other developments for character and stories, other than, "Look over there, you hero, go get!" But the in-between stuff and the afterward is very interesting. Also noted is that for the end of this movie, there are actually two different endings for it. For a while there, I did prefer the original director's version, which I would still generally like to see, but at the same time, fans have really taken a liking to the theatrical version, and actually both the video games as well as the comic books have taken the theatrical version to heart and gone off with that for sequel material. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that covers everything. So, now I guess it's just a waiting game, isn't it? Yep. You! And you! You started this! Don't touch that! Damn it! Been on sale for months, you idiot! Now get back here! Hey! Oh! Are you giving me a call now? Damn it.
Well, what about me?
I gotta take this call. It could be important. It could be something else going on, too. So get after him. You want blood anyways. Now, let's see who this is.